Hey guys, this is Aaron Farmer with MySugarFreeJourney.com. I just heard a speech that RFK gave last Friday at the FDA's Maryland office, and he said something in there that really piqued my interest. He told them to boldly avoid the impulse to protect the corporations they regulate. Let me say that again. RFK told the FDA to, quote, boldly avoid the impulse to protect the corporations they regulate. That is such an amazing statement. That's the kind of thing that I've wanted to hear from my government for years. Um, the fact that that our food system has been so corporate captured for so long. These food companies are allowed to pretty much do anything they want to our food system. Ever since Nixon, really, we've made a concerted effort in this country our to make our food supply as cheap as possible, and you can understand why. 350 million Americans, they all have to be fed. Um, we're the wealthiest country in the world. The less money that we spend on food, the more money that we have to spend on other things. All the junk that we have to buy to just to be able to survive. So you can understand why they're doing this, and you can understand what it is that they're doing. But the fact that our regulatory agencies and our food companies, which should be adversarial and going at each other, and our regulatory companies should be making sure that our food companies are putting out the highest quality food that they possibly can. They seem to have been working hand in glove for decades now, and that's the reason why we are all getting so fat and so sick. That's why our food, the food that we eat here in the States, can't be exported to other parts of the country because a lot of the chemicals, a lot of the additives, a lot of the things that we use to color and dye our food, to make our cows fatter, to make our uh, just to make all our different foods sweeter or last longer on the shelf. Those are not chemicals that are allowed to be used in the food supply and anywhere else in the country. It's been it's been a terrible system for a long time. And one of the things that keeps coming up is our GRAS system. So GRAS stands for generally regarded as safe. And if a chemical is put on the GRAS list, then that chemical can be added to our food supply in almost any amount that the food companies want to add to our food supply. Um, and this has been terrible. I don't know if you remember a few years ago when the Food Babe kind of led this charge to get azodicarbonamide. Probably didn't say that right. From the bread that Subway serves, and it's just an agent to make it fluffier and probably last longer on the shelf. But it's a chemical that's used in yoga mats. It's used in shoe soles. It's not allowed to be used anywhere else in the world. Or several other countries at least have banned it. But we put it in our food because it's allowed, because it's been generally regarded as safe. And this has been a terrible system. If one or two or three of these chemicals get into our food supply, we can probably make it. But there's 670 substances that have been put on the GRAS list by the FDA, and only 15 have ever been removed. So it's a lot easier to get a chemical on the GRAS list than it is to get it removed. And the FDA seems to, like I said, it seems to be working in concert with these food companies to make our food as cheap as possible. But the end result is our food is a lot more fattening. It makes us unhealthy. We're living in the middle of this type 2 diabetes epidemic. I mean, everyone is obese. The obesity rates in the United States are off the charts. If you're over 40, chances are you're obese. Chances are you have a metabolic issue. You have high blood pressure, or you have type 2 diabetes, or you have, one of these other issues that come up with having a broken metabolism. And that's not how we're supposed to live. We're supposed to be able to go to the grocery store and get good, high quality foods, bring them home and feed them to our families. And the people whose job it is to make sure that our food is safe, to make sure that our food is healthy, it feels like they've fallen asleep at the switch for decades. And now, as a nation, we're having to deal with this problem. So RFK, man, gosh, I mean, I can't believe that he is in this position. This is one of the best things. I know that Trump is a divisive figure, but man, just RFK being in a position to look at our food supply, to look at our health, and to make some important changes that are going to allow people to get healthier and stop getting sick just from the foods that they eat. I am all for this. And so RFK, man, you go do what you want to do. He had a tweet a couple. It was on October 25th of 2024. He said the FDA's war on public health is about to end. This includes its aggressive suppression of psychedelics, peptides, stem cells, raw milk, hyperbaric therapies, chelating compounds, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, vitamins, clean foods, sunshine, exercise, nutraceuticals, and all these other kind of more natural ways to make yourself healthy. There's been a concerted effort, I think, by our regulatory agencies to kind of poo-poo all that stuff and say, oh, that's not important. What you really need to do is take this pill and don't worry about the food supply. It's fine. But when you get type 2 diabetes, here's some metformin, here's some insulin, they never tell you to cut out the carbs. They never tell you to cut out the sugar. They just continually put you on pill after pill after pill after pill. And then when you're 75, 80 years old, if you live that long, you've got, 15, 20 pills that you're taking every day. That's not the way we're supposed to live. And we live this way now because again, our regulatory agents have not looked out for us. They're not on our side. They haven't been in a long time. So RFK, you go, boy, get it done, and I'll be cheering you on from the cheap seats over here.